What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday we had the big reveal for the Super Mario movie, and it caused quite the reaction online. We're going to go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about another big holiday release that was revealed yesterday from EA and has me pretty excited after seeing the trailer. And we're also going to be talking about PlatinumGames and Babylon's Fall, because we did have some comments from the CEO talking about if they had learned anything from the situation and if they have any plans to maybe change some of their roadmap around live service games. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Overwatch 2, which did not have a smooth release at all. And one of the big things that people were pointing to is the necessity to link a phone number to an account in order to just play the game. But not just any phone number, had to be specific ones. Really not any prepaid phones that you would get, I guess, from a Walmart or something like that. It turns out they are now backtracking on that. We can see this posted up over on their forum from the community manager. It says, "We designed Overwatch 2 to be a live service which enables us to be responsive to a variety of player feedback. We have made the decision to remove phone number requirements for a majority of existing Overwatch players. Any Overwatch player with a connected Battle.net account, which includes all players who have played since June 9th, 2021, will not have to provide a phone number to play. We are working to make this change and expect it to go live on Friday, October 7th. So we should see that in effect today. I mean, this is good news for anyone who obviously has a Battle.net account linked to their Overwatch account and all of this. Basically, anyone coming from the first Overwatch who's played it in the last year or so should have that requirement removed for a phone number. I assume they're just trying to fight back against trolls and disruptive players online, but to be honest, no matter what you do in games this popular with voice chat and the competitive nature of it, you're going to have disruptive players. It's just kind of the way it is. But at least for now, if you are someone who is a big Overwatch fan or has played it somewhat recently, you shouldn't really need a phone number anymore just to, play Overwatch 2. Hey, as long as you can get ahead of that 30,000 person queue. Also, it looks like Far Cry 6 Game of the Year Edition went live on the Xbox Store and PlayStation Store just kind of randomly yesterday. I didn't see any announcement as of this recording, but we now have an indication as to what's in the game and how much it costs. Let's take a look here first over on VGC. They have it listed here from that store listing. It has an all-new expansion, Lost Between Worlds, just says coming soon. All the season pass content, so you can play as past Far Cry villains, like you could play as Voss, Pagan Min, and others. That's kind of fun. And it has the full Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon Classic Edition game. The Ultimate Pack has different expedition packs and free game updates. It's $120. So first of all, we have to find the person who gave Far Cry 6 Game of the Year. I thought it was a fun game, but Game of the Year, not quite there. And also $120, you should be able to upgrade as well from the base game if you already own it, but essentially they're looking to then just sell you another game as an expansion. I guess having Blood Dragon, I mean, that is a good game. It's just an older title. So I'm gonna have to see more about this expansion that they have coming up here, because I did enjoy going through Far Cry 6, but not really Game of the Year necessarily there. So I will at least take a look at the expansion to see what it has to offer. Oh, and there is a fun Easter egg for Splatoon 3 that doesn't actually exist in Splatoon 3. It exists as part of Google. In fact, if you search Splatoon or Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 3, anything that would bring up the Splatoon franchise on the right, there are these ink splats there. You click that, and all of a sudden you can just start shooting ink all over the screen for the search results. It's just a fun thing that was seemingly designed with Google, and maybe people are just fans of Splatoon there. Maybe this is some advertising thing that Nintendo wanted to collaborate for, but it's just a fun thing you can do if you're a Splatoon fan or just curious. Go ahead and search up Splatoon in Google, click the little paint splat, and start dropping all kinds of colors on your screen. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the Super Mario movie. We already know it's coming out next year, April 7th, and we had found out a little while ago that there would be a Nintendo Direct yesterday to showcase our first real look at the movie. And there have been a lot of question marks going into this one, whether it's the plot of the movie or some of the selection around voice actors, specifically Chris Pratt as Mario, Well, the direct was just under 10 minutes long, and the first teaser that we saw was almost 2 minutes. It was this simultaneous broadcast with viewers at home as well as people in attendance at New York Comic-Con, and initially, with the beginning of the trailer, they showed off Bowser, and they did a really good job showing Bowser as this big, intimidating force, setting up the villain of the entire movie, which is good because at times, Bowser does look like that big, terrifying figure, but then other times kind of looks like the sidekick as part of the party to go along with Mario on some of his adventures. So I'm glad they set the tone immediately, and he just absolutely wiped out a big ice castle. I like kind of the setup with the penguins where it looked like they were doing all kinds of damage, and then it zoomed out and they're barely making a scratch at all. They maybe take out one of the Koopa Troopers or something, but great first scene there. Still had the lightheartedness, but still the serious tone of Bowser clashing together. And I think Jack Black, in general, does a great job with Bowser. Some were worried it wasn't going to be raspy enough. I think it's a nice, middle ground for it, because you're going to be hearing that voice quite a bit, I assume, throughout the movie, since he is the main antagonist. Now, going from there, we then jump over to Mario, and we got our answer. Chris Pratt is seemingly just playing Chris Pratt. There's a slight accent there, very slight, and we only heard about 10 words out of Mario's mouth, but it's clearly enough to get a reaction online because some people absolutely hate the voice. It doesn't really sound like Chris Pratt did a lot with the Mario character, but I'm also curious what people were expecting with this. You're not going to get the Charles Martinet over-the-top Mario phrases then just put out into entire sentences and full dialogue, because I don't believe that would work that well for like a 90-minute movie. And in this case, it seems like they have Mario a bit more toned down when it comes to his voice, because clearly the big focal point for this is, one, the animation, which looks fantastic. The backgrounds, the imagination going into it. I mean, visually speaking, this movie looks incredible. We also had our first look at Toad being played by Keegan-Michael Key, and I thought that was good there as well. And a quick look at Luigi towards the end in a darker setting, just mostly running away. And for the most part, with this teaser, because that's what it wasn't really telling us that much, I thought it was fine. I mean, the movie coming out in April, they're not going to try to give everything away when it comes to cameos, which Miyamoto being involved, there's a lot of attention to detail and even the smallest things in the backgrounds. I think there's gonna be some pretty fun cameos here, and certainly a ton of nods to people who understand the games or at least have knowledge of them. So I'm looking forward to that experience. I will point out though, in the beginning of the movie, Mario kind of warps in and seems confused about his surroundings, which has led people to think that it's gonna be one of those situations where maybe Chris Pratt is actually playing Chris Pratt, because it's the beginning of the movie is live action, then it just sort of morphs him into Mario, and he at that time exists in the Mushroom Kingdom. So I think there's still a lot more to this movie than we know now, but definitely looking forward to seeing more about this, maybe in trailers or just going right up to April and checking it out in theaters. Next up, let's talk about another big holiday release to look forward to, as it was revealed yesterday in a trailer. And this is something we've talked about here on Newswave for a little while now, but we have the official confirmation that Need for Speed Unbound will be coming out this year. It's slated for December 2nd. They had a full trailer here showing off sort of that, I guess, that kind of cartoony aesthetic next to the realistic visuals, certainly playing into the effects of maybe doing a burnout with smoke coming up, or even wings next to your car when you make large jumps across ramps and all of this. But it is coming out just for the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC, so no last-gen versions. And because of that, they are able to target 4K 60 FPS, which is very welcome because Need for Speed Heat on consoles still sitting at 30 FPS, by the way. It's very frustrating for a racing game to be locked to that. It is on the Frostbite engine. It's going to be an open world that you'll be racing around in called Lakeshore. They're looking to return more to the street racing routes. We'll see if that's more Need for Speed Underground maybe, or if they're going back to like Most Wanted or something there. And there will be a full career mode that is playable offline, so we won't have any kind of reliance on online servers just to play the single player mode, which is something we have seen obviously in many, many racing games before, so good news there. Otherwise, though, if you go online, it will have full cross-play support for the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC, so you can play with your friends no matter which system they're on there. I like that they are at least making the jump to current-gen systems and not feeling the need to put this game on last-gen platforms, since, well, in some cases, we've seen it sort of muddy the waters when it comes to either the visuals or the performance. The fact that they're able to target these current systems and go for a full 4K 60, or obviously on PC, is very, very welcome here. I still need to see the game in motion in front of me because I was concerned originally about sort of the cartoony effects they were doing and if it would seem out of place based on some of the in-engine footage they've shown. Didn't seem like it was, or at least it didn't seem like it was distracting with those being there. But we still need to see full gameplay and the upgrade systems and all of this with it. But so far, so good when it comes to Need for Speed Unbound. Certainly looking forward to that one in a month that's starting to fill up quietly, right, for December, especially in that first 2-week time period. We have that, Callisto Protocol, and obviously Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion, and a few other titles in there. So December is actually starting to get kind of packed with releases. Next up, let's talk about the Steam Deck and the Steam Deck dock. We had an update when it comes to the production of the Steam Deck itself, which, as we know, when it first dropped for pre-orders, you basically were paying out $5 or $10 or so, and you knew you weren't going to be seeing the thing for up to a year. I mean, it was quite the wait there for a while, but now it appears that Valve has, for the most part, caught up completely with production to where it's a week or two, maybe even less, to get a Steam Deck. So if you've been thinking about getting one, but the long wait kind of puts you off, now might be a good time to go ahead and pick up one of these systems, because Valve has at least got to the point where they're comfortable saying there's no real reservation periods anymore. We did also have the Steam Deck dock that was finally revealed, and yes, I did put an order in for one of these. I figure we'll take a look at it here on the channel, the functionality, and we'll see if we can take it apart a bit. But we have an image of it here, as well as the full description when it comes to the ports on the back. It'll have 3 USB-A 3.1 Gen 1 ports, a USB-C port for power. By the way, the USB ports are interesting because we have one that's kind of vertical there, just so it all fits together here. And then there's a display port, HDMI, and a gigabit Ethernet port. We do have that cable that runs around to the top, which is the one unfortunate position, I guess, for the charging port, is that it's on top, and that's where you would have to plug in for it. So the only way to solve that, other than, I guess, somehow being able to put your Steam Deck upside down into the dock and figure out a way to route airflow for the vent, is to legitimately just run a cable from the back to the top of your Steam Deck. They do mention here, at this time, it's a couple of weeks for shipping with the Steam Deck's dock, but if overall order volume becomes really, really high, they'll go back to reservation mode for it. So I'm hoping to have this dock in the next couple of weeks for us to look at here. And I mean, the biggest reason you would get this dock specifically, as opposed to some third-party docks that are available currently on Amazon, is the fact that this is first party, yes, from Valve, and you would expect them to develop with this dock in mind specifically. They've mentioned 4K 60 for the resolution output on your, like, maybe a larger TV or something there, which is good because originally there were a lot of issues with the dock. They just didn't seem to launch with it in mind at all, because clearly they hadn't released the dock yet. But now they've started to catch up with updates, and it's becoming a better experience if you just have a USB-C to HDMI connection you can make. So I am looking forward to trying this one out. I'm curious the performance of the Steam Deck when it tries to target a higher resolution, because clearly it's been developed with that screen in mind where you're looking more or less for 800p. Blow it up to 4K and you're going to be pretty limited in the game selection. But it's just nice to have the dock, because then you can do games and anything else you would need to do for the most part on a PC, since you can load up Windows on this machine as well. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about PlatinumGames and Babylon's Fall. There's a recent interview with VGC and Atsushi Inaba, who's the CEO of PlatinumGames, mostly just reflecting on what happened with Babylon's Fall. It didn't even make it a full year before they had to shut the live service game down. And people have been wondering, whose fault was it really? Was it Square Enix? Was it PlatinumGames? I mean, I'd look at that and say it was a combination of the two, But we can see these quotes from VGC with Atsushi Inaba. She says, and any disappointment that we might have caused for our fan base is something we feel extremely sorry about. The fact that we led our dedicated fans to feel that way as a developer, providing any sentiment other than enjoyment and fun in our creations to players is something that we're not very happy about at all as a developer. They had said previously in the interview that they can only talk about so much because Square Enix is the publisher. I'm sure there's a lot of NDAs and other things that are in place there, but Inaba does go on to talk about the future of PlatinumGames when it comes to live services. Says there is a lot that we learned from this experience, and it's not changed our future plans or outlook moving forward regarding doing live service games at all. Live service games are definitely something we do want to do and put our effort in moving forward. And this just falls right in line with what I've been saying for a while now. If you're a company and you make 10 live service games, like the full budget and everything behind each one of these, and 9 of them fail, but one of them turns into a Fortnite, you're fine. Like, you just make all that money back and then some. So in Platinum's mind, you know what? It was that relationship with Square, and if we do Project GG, which is most likely going to be a live service title, we're going to do it right. And that's kind of how it goes with live service games. If you can, you keep trying over and over again until you finally knock it out of the park and make a ton of revenue with this new PUBG or Fortnite type experience that you've created. It's one of the reasons that Sony's going to be making so many. Microsoft makes a ton of multiplayer games that they continue to update going forward with seasons and all of this. So yeah, even if one fails as spectacularly as Babylon's Fall, doesn't turn the company off. In fact, now they believe they've learned from it and they're ready to try again. And before we go to the comments of the day, we're taking a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, what's your immediate reaction to the Super Mario movie teaser trailer? 57% said looks good, I'm ready to see it day one in theaters. 33% said looks all right, I'm going to wait for reviews. And only 10% said it looks bad, I'll pass. And that's kind of the sentiment around the internet right now, is for the most part, people liked what they saw. They may not have liked what they heard when it came to Mario, but I don't think the voice, even though it's kind of a letdown, I believe, for people, I don't think the voice itself, if it was exactly as it's going to be in that trailer just for the rest of the movie, I don't think it's going to be like a distraction or anything for what's going to be, I believe, spectacles of different scenes and backgrounds, animation. I don't think you're going to come out of the theater like, it would have been great if it wasn't for just that Chris Pratt boring Mario voice. No, you'll probably be talking about all the cool scenes and Easter eggs and nods that you notice there. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun next year when it releases in the theaters. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Silfner saying, speaking of queues, I decided to check out PlayStation Stars and was put on a 2-month waiting list, really. Also, it seems to me that Stars is just another way PlayStation is pushing that dreaded all-digital future. Since all the levels are tied to buying full-price digital games, not a fan. You're catching on to them there. The idea of Stars is another way for their customer loyalty program, just to keep people engaged and interested in their ecosystem. But you're absolutely right. All the rewards are tied to digital purchases because it makes Sony more money to do that. I would like to see them put just a little piece of paper in the box. It's not going to kill you, Sony, to do that. I know you got rid of manuals and everything, but you could still just put a little piece of paper in there, has a code, one-time use, and if you bought the game at retail, you could still put it into your PlayStation Stars account and get credit for buying it as you would for a digital copy. But as we know, this is kind of the direction that all the publishers are pushing towards, which is more control and an all-digital future, and PlayStation Stars, I think, is just another way to get you there with that terrible looking collector's case. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was the Super Mario movie. What were your thoughts on the teaser trailer, and what were your thoughts on Chris Pratt's Mario voice? And then also, what about Babylon's Fall and PlatinumGames seemingly undeterred about making another live service title with, I guess, Project GG? Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.